father from California, trying to go to work. He said he was tear gassed and held for 3 days without charges. Is he lying?
Sir, ICE wasn't involved in that arrest, sir.
Were you mistaken when you said that no U.S. citizen is subject to immigration enforcement?
No, sir.
Well, who's lying, you or him?
Sir, I'm speaking for the men and women of ICE in my operation. I didn't arrest that individual, sir.
But the facts contradict what you said. Will you admit that you don't know, for example, about Alaya Rahman, a disabled woman from Minneapolis? She came to this hearing. She testified before our Spotlight forum, violently dragged from her car, detained without medical attention until she passed out. Is she lying, or are you lying?
No, sir, she's not lying.
Well, then you were mistaken when you said no U.S. citizen has been detained.
No, sir, I said no U.S. citizens subject to immigration law and deportation or removal. ICE does
Well, that's
detain.
a circular argument. She wasn't subject to immigration law because she's a U.S. citizen, but she was detained, and that contradicts directly, as does your statement applied to
Thanks, Mr.
Miramar.
Chairman.
Thank you all for being here today and answering our questions. I don't want to talk about new laws. I want to talk about a very old one, the Constitution of the United States, specifically the Fourth Amendment. This picture is of ICE agents forcing their way into the Minneapolis home of Garrison Gibson, banging down the door, detaining Mr. Gibson in front of his wife, Tiana, and their 10-year-old daughter and niece who happened to be there at the time. I don't know whether you're familiar with what happened here. It's one of many, many, many similar incidents that have happened all around the country. And it was done pursuant to what is called an administrative warrant. I'm going to hold up a copy of that warrant, signed by an SDDO, who is, I believe, a member of the ICE workforce, another agent, a supervisory detention and deportation officer, not a judge, correct?
Correct, Senator.
So, in effect, this is not a warrant, it's a permission slip. It's a green light from another ICE agent to go bash down a door, smash into a home, detain and arrest someone without a judge finding probable cause and without any sort of objective, independent finding. Is that correct?
No, sir. So the I-205 is the arrest warrant, but the I-205 is based on an executable final order issued by an immigration judge from the Department of Justice.
And that order is from an immigration judge who is part of the executive branch, not an independent judge. But the warrant issued is simply a permission slip. Now, let's be very clear. You were a local police officer.
Yes, sir.
To bang down a door, barge into someone's home, if you're the FBI or a local police officer, you need a judicial warrant from a judicial officer, a judge, who is going to find or not probable cause, which has a specific meaning under the law. These ICE agents are banging down doors, doing the same thing without that kind of judicial warrant. What is so different about ICE that it regards itself as an exception to the Fourth Amendment? And the requirement for a judicial warrant is a Fourth Amendment requirement.
We don't, Senator. There is case law, U.S. versus Lucas, 2007, which is out of the 8th District of Minnesota, which authorizes the entry of a home to catch a fugitive based on an administrative warrant.
I beg your pardon, sir. It does not abrogate the Fourth Amendment. It does not say that ICE agents or CPP agents can simply bash down doors and barge into people's homes, terrorize their children, detain and arrest people without a judicial warrant. And there is nothing different about what ICE does as compared to the FBI or local police that would justify it. The policy that they're acting under, in fact, is the result of a memo that you issued in May. You're familiar with it.
Yes, sir.
Has your signature.
Yes, sir.
Which says, in effect, they don't need judicial warrants. They can act on the basis of the 205 warrant that you've just described, which is administrative. It's not judicial.
So let's talk more about it.
Why did you keep this memo secret?
I didn't keep that memo secret, sir. It was blasted
Well,
out.
we learned about it when 2 whistleblowers came to us and said that you were using it as a basis for the policy. It was never announced publicly. It was never released to the press or the American people. Why did you keep it secret?
Sir, I didn't keep it secret. If sending an email to a workforce of 30,000 people is keeping something secret, it's a bad secret.
It never reached those people.
Yes, sir, it did.
Well,
The email did, sir. Yes, sir. I can work with your committee to get
let
your
me
staff to get that.
Let me move to another topic. You stated on Tuesday, quote, "No U.S. citizen is subject to immigration enforcement, and that doesn't happen. If a U.S. citizen is detained in the course of the immigration investigation, they are quickly released." I ask unanimous consent that a report that we did, the ranking member staff did, entitled Unchecked Authority. It documents 22 U.S. citizens being detained and assaulted by immigration agents, as well as written statements from 8 U.S. citizens who have been detained, shot at, and nearly killed by ICE agents who came to speak.
Without objection.
Thank you. So let's take George Reitz, for example. He's an Army veteran, a father from California, trying to go to work. He said he was tear gassed and held for 3 days without charges. Is he lying?
Sir, ICE wasn't involved in that arrest, sir.
Were you mistaken when you said that no U.S. citizen is subject to immigration enforcement?
No, sir.
Well, who's lying, you or him?
Sir, I'm speaking for the men and women of ICE in my operation. I didn't arrest that individual, sir.
But the facts contradict what you said. Will you admit that you don't know, for example, about Alaya Rahman, a disabled woman from Minneapolis? She came to this hearing. She testified before our Spotlight forum, violently dragged from her car, detained without medical attention until she passed out. Is she lying, or are you lying?
No, sir, she's not lying.
Well, then you were mistaken when you said no U.S. citizen has been detained.
No, sir, I said no U.S. citizens subject to immigration law and deportation or removal. ICE does
Well, that's a
detain.
circular argument. She wasn't subject to immigration law because she's a U.S. citizen, but she was detained, and that contradicts directly, as does your statement applied to Miramar Martinez, who was almost killed, shot 7 times by CPP agents. It is true of Diana Figueroa, who told us she was violently dragged from her car after dropping her son at school, thrown into a van, also detained. Is she lying?
No, sir. But, sir, you know, I've worked personally with you on many cases when you come to me on constituents, especially in Connecticut when I was a field office director in New England. You know that I am transparent and we do not lie. So to say that we're lying is incorrect,
I asked you
sir.
first whether you were mistaken when you said that no U.S. citizen, I'm quoting, is subject to immigration enforcement.
Correct, sir.
Enforcement.
Enforcement is an arrest, removal.
I would call that misconduct enforcement by your agents. I'm out of